This is guidance for radiant health. One of the most important principles to remember for radiant health is that the human body, and even the bodies of most animals, should be alkaline and not acidic. This can be achieved in a number of different ways, but basically it means a sensible and balanced diet. And that does not mean that we should all eat the same things. All the different races of the world have different diets for a reason. And when they start to come over here and eat what we eat, they're not so well. This can be achieved in a different number of ways, but basically it means a sensible and balanced diet. All the different religious writings of many different religions that are genuine, and there are many that are not, include some good advice as to diet, which can vary to a certain extent in the different climatic conditions of the world, wherever the domicile is. However, the basic requirements for health are much the same. Plenty of green vegetables, root vegetables, milk, some fruit, and meat of different sorts. My comment here. I would point out here that the Chinese and most of the Oriental races do not tolerate cow's milk or wheat. Wheat is cultivated sometimes, but for the distillation of certain alcoholic beverages that are a tradition in these countries. And also some of the Negro peoples are unable to tolerate cow's milk and are better with the milk of the goat. Apparently in prehistoric times, one of the more advanced planets dumped their lowlier class of people here when this planet was fairly depopulated after some cataclysm. They left them with certain knowledge for their survival, much of which they still have. For instance, the knowledge of acupuncture and herbs for health was given to them, but not the understanding of the electrical frequencies of the human body. As previously stated, this advanced race obviously understood little of the fact that they themselves had progressed through what they considered their lowly orders, and all planets must have different races upon them as well, as we all pass the same way. What would happen to a planet who decided that they would move all their children to another planet? It is the same principle. Right, the dictation continues. In the modern world, many artificial foods have been introduced, adulterated for commercial gain by the companies that produce them. In nearly all cases, these foods are harmful if eaten in any quantity. Sugar in its natural state is a healthy food, especially for young children who in its natural environment suck the sweet sap from the plant stem. It's a valuable nutrient for such children, and in its raw state, sugar has valuable nutritive properties. Refining of this raw sugar removes all the valuable nutrients and renders it a food that has a chemical effect on the blood. This unnatural chemical effect produces harmful acids which rob the blood of some of its power to fight all manner of viruses that attack humanity. Excessive consumption of red and heavy meats without sufficient vegetables. This is another way in which harmful acids are produced in the body. Tea and coffee, extremely valuable plants in their natural green state, have their curative properties. The pleasant drinks, coffee and tea, were originally drunk by the people native to those countries in which the plants grew. They were served in very small cups and rarely drunk more than once a day as a pleasant additive to their diet. Mankind, in his greed for wealth, quickly exploited this, and you have now a situation in which people all over the world consume large quantities of these brown liquids, which again, in all this quantity, has a deteriorating and harmful chemical effect on the blood. The tobacco plant was originally smoked in a ritualistic way by simple natives who realized the dangers of anything but occasional smoking. The dangers of nicotine are now becoming well known, and those dangers are still being largely ignored. The harm nicotine does is not often lethal to the smoker himself, but has its effect on the ovaries of women and the semen of men, which can affect their unborn children, an effect that is so far-reaching that it can harm both the first and subsequent generation of children. It's a very large contributing factor in the cause of leukemia in young children and other allied diseases which sometimes undetected in infancy appear later in childhood or early adolescence. it must be understood by mankind that natural products, adulterated and used in a way never intended, sometimes on a very large scale, work against the natural order of things, and therefore must be harmful in one way or another. This is my comment. I find it positively alarming that so suddenly, as if they have all been given the same orders, that all the supermarkets have all started to adulterate our food with rapeseed and iron and all kinds of things. I mean, if you're not anemic, constantly eating foods with iron in it, it's going to clot your blood. It thickens the blood. To the extent that even most simple things suddenly has a list of ingredients on the back that is several inches long. Before Christmas, I bought some essential mince pies, thinking that as the particular supermarket I was shopping in prided itself on the higher quality of its produce, that they would be fine. Later, when sitting down with a cup of tea, with one of the pies, I was amazed when I immediately started a severe headache and stomach cramps. Realising it was one of the small mince pies that I had just eaten that was responsible, I looked at the packet and was shocked to see the amount of additives, the rapeseed oil, that had been included in my pie. I took them back and announced that they were poisonous and insisted on getting my 170 back. I now read the back of every packet, and rapeseed appears to be in everything, even in their tara masala. That should never be part of the recipe. A while ago, Country File showed how they produced rapeseed. Anyone watching that programme would, I am sure, never eat it again. The chemicals they spray on the plant at the end of the growing season turns the whole thing black and must poison the soil too. We should all be more careful of these processed foods and ask ourselves what our liver is going to do with these awful chemicals that are now added to so much of our food. So often the liver, failing to recognise these chemicals as anything that is useful in the body, just stores them in fat cells to deal with later. However, so many people eat so much processed food these days that the liver just carries on with this process endlessly, and anyone can see the result in the increasing obesity that plagues the population of today. There is also an increase in cancers, all manner of different heart diseases, blood disorders, and numerous digestive complaints, not to mention the sallow, unhealthy look of most of our population, very few of whom are truly healthy and must feel fairly unwell most of the time. The media is a fairly malign influence these days, in my opinion. All adverts seem to be for junk food, gambling, funerals, life insurance, cancer, burglar alarms, and endless mawkish adverts for us to give to little black children, animal charities, or depression, with all the grim details of the appropriate suffering. And most entertainment is gratuitous violence, game shows, and aliens, all things to drag the public down in every way. So I think we've really got to look much more and make more effort with ourselves, really, if you want to be healthy. We should also all have a day when we don't eat, have a fast. But it's very difficult to do on your own, especially when it's cold and you're living on your own and you get to the end of the day and you think, oh, I'm going to eat something, because you're bored. But that was the whole idea of Friday being a fast day, and then we all got greedy and decided we'd have fish, and now we don't even have fish on Fridays, we just eat the same every day. But I believe some places in India, the whole village will have a day when they don't eat. And it's easy when you all do it together. But anyway, such is life. And then, of course, Ramadan, when they don't eat they don't eat during the day for a whole month. But then, of course, again, like all of us, then they all eat all night. So then a lot of them put on weight in Ramadan. So human beings, we're all the same. Anyway, that's the end of that, Miles.